At Add-on Systems, many of our clients have been using our software products and services for close to 30 years. You've had a lot of organizational changes. A lot of fresh folks are coming in your organization that might be there might be the 20 somethings that are joining the trucking industry. We want to let you know that there's training available from Add-on Systems. Our very own Wayne Long joins us today. How you doing, Wayne?
Doing well. How you guys doing?
Awesome. Well, a lot of folks may not know this. They may have had our solutions for a long time. It may have been 15 years ago. You were on site training before Zoom was really popular or other online tools like Microsoft Teams. We want to spend just a few minutes today to let our customers know that you're available to come on site, which can really make an impact, whether folks have been using our software for a long time or you got a mix of a classroom setting with senior folks that have been there 10 plus years and maybe some employees that have only been there less than a year. Talk to us a little bit about the impact that you've seen when you go on site and do a training class with Add-on Systems clients.
Typically, I'm going on site for a specific software purchase that a customer would make. But since I have extensive background within the operational arena, both as an end user and trainer, there's a lot of times based off of the feedback I'm getting and or questions I'm asking in class to the personnel attending that you realize some people may not know best practices or have enough knowledge on the tools that they are using. So a lot of times I go on for one product, but I end up training sidebar additional aspects of the software that they are using so that I can help improve their daily uses and practices while I'm there.
You've been with Add-on Systems for 23 years. You've worked with the
Correct.
software, ICC software for longer than that. You worked in operations. So you're like really a consultant when you come on site because you have such vast knowledge of the applications and really the practical use from so many other client visits and what you've done. You really bring a ton of value. What are some of the challenges that you see in a training environment when people in operations or whatever part of the organizations they're in? What are some of the challenges you see in a training class and some best practices really to help clients get the most out of training when you're there on site?
Well, yes, I have about 34 years of total experience within the trucking industry, both as an end user for two different trucking companies. And then I went to work for Innovative Computing at the time and have performed various roles, mostly within the operations side of the fence, including implementation. So I have an extensive background, if you will. I used to be considered the operations guru while I was at Innovative. If there are any tough customer implementations and or training needs, typically I'd be the one that would go on site because of my background. It's easier for me to identify and relate to the scenarios in a real world. And based off my product knowledge of the software and multiple software packages that integrate with it, if you will, I'm able to quickly identify some of the best practices that users can benefit from. And there's a lot of times I go on site to help customers and I will ask them to demonstrate a process step to handle a specific scenario. And when I look at the steps they take, a lot of times I can shorten the time it takes from start to finish because they're actually going the long way around, whether that's bouncing in and out of different program extensions when there's actually a quick path directly to what they're seeking data on. So I'll show them those shortcuts and or sometimes additional screens that they may not be using. And that's also where our newer fleet services screens that are enhanced products for both, or actually all three of the operational arenas. You've got tractor services, planning services, and order services. Any customers that have those three, there's definitely a lot of shortcuts to be had.
Wayne, in this Zoom era that we live in, a lot of people like getting content just from video, and there's a place for that. But me personally, I've gone through a lot of training. I'm always looking for ways to get better and reinforce new concepts. I prefer to be in a training class in person with my colleagues, or it might be one on one with someone like yourself versus video. I know we do offer training remote, through Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Google Meet, or whatever application the customer chooses. But what can you share about maybe some of your experience in the military and the training that goes on to reinforce concepts, ideas, and really a group sharing that is so important when you're on site.
Yeah, there's a different dynamic for some of our products, especially if it's a refresher or a product that only takes about an hour to an hour and a half to go through. Some of those you can be pretty proficient with just Zoom type online sessions versus on site. With the military, you are constantly refreshing to make sure a product you may not be familiar with or a process you may not be familiar with that you're not doing day in and day out. You are constantly going through, there's usually like every year you're going through everything to make sure whether it's something you use regular or not, that you are proficient in it in case the need arises where you have to be. With customers, I find one disadvantage right off the bat is you cannot see all the facial expressions and body language. So when you're live, you have the advantage of reading the audience. So you can adapt your training according to whether people are paying attention or not. You can easily get those that might be falling out of sync with participating in some of the discussions. You can ask them questions, get them to demo things. And they seem to be more in tune. Just like if I do a training session online, I find if a supervisor's in the session, people pay more attention and they're more inquisitive versus if the supervisor just arranges a session and then regular end users are the only ones in the audience. There's a lot of times you may not get the same sort of interaction. So it's more difficult to keep track of how engaged they really are and what they're retraining or retaining rather. And a lot of times if you ask them for questions, people will say, no, they don't have any versus on site. They'll have more. They tend to have a lot more questions. And because of my background, I can read the audience better and get a better feel for where I might need to branch off to or what I might need to reinforce. So there's definitely a lot of added benefits to being on-site versus online.
Yeah, not to mention the distractions. I know personally when I've seen folks on a Zoom training session or webinar, they're focusing on what time they have to be at the ballpark for their son or daughter's ball game or checking their LinkedIn profile. So I think we all agree a lot of value being on site. However, as an add-on systems customer, if you don't have the ability to schedule an on-site or you need something quickly, Wayne is available to conduct some training remote or maybe a combination of both. Are you seeing a larger percentage of your trainings have gone remote here in the last couple of years, especially post-COVID?
Yeah, ever since COVID, which is understandable, a lot of people would avoid bringing you on site for a variety of reasons. So we got conditioned, I guess you would say, to doing a lot of online videos. And again, sometimes that's productive depending on the personnel and or the particular area I'm focusing on or product I'm focusing on. Some of them you can get by with doing online training. But there's other products that it's really not beneficial to do online training if you want to really impact how quickly you get on board with using that software and benefiting from it. On-site training is definitely the initial stepping stone. And a great product as an example for that would be our tractor detention module. There's been a few customers in the past that have chosen not to do on-site training. And to this day, they're very weak users of the software. And I can't tell you within a 6-month to even a year period how many times I had to do additional training with those same people that attended the online sessions because they're just not getting it or they're not following through what they need to versus the customers that bring you in and do it right based off my recommendations. They can hit the ground running. A lot of customers are up live with the product within a week or two versus 6 months or more. And since that product generates a lot of free revenue, if you will, that can definitely significantly impact the bottom line, whether you're using it right away or not.
Wayne, I share with people all the time, most of us use some type of Microsoft Office product or Google Office product. Most of us use probably 10 or 15% of the capabilities of that software product. Hopefully our customers are using a much larger percentage of the capabilities, but I've even had customers tell me, John, we didn't even realize the software could do X, Y, and Z until we had a face-to-face visit. And I think there's some potential there that we can help our clients unlock by just training on the applications that they already have. If you would like some additional training, just contact your account manager. They can schedule that with Wayne or whoever the appropriate trainer might be. And we'd love to help you get more out of your systems and really deliver more for your customers and your drivers. Thanks, Wayne, for joining me today, and appreciate all you do for our clients and for Add-On Systems.
Sure. Thanks for your time, John.